Absolutely. Something I'm deeply passionate about. I've worked with young people for 2 decades now, both in volunteer capacities as well as professional capacities. And every year I mentor dozens of new professionals, both informally and formally. And what is really important to me, like the cornerstone of that mentorship, being is a listening to them, like listening to the situations that they're bringing,
Hmm.
and not sugarcoating the realities that they are facing, because usually when folks are seeking out guidance, it's because they're going through something difficult. They're encountering a difficult situation in the workplace that they don't know how to resolve, right? Typically, no one is seeking mentoring when everything is hunky dory, right? And everything is great. They're finding help because they're going through something hard and they don't know how to navigate it. And just this week, I was chatting with a student who was going through something, and I said, "Listen, and again, I'm compassionate with how I communicate, but I will be forthcoming, because you need to, again, it's better
Yeah.
to know what you're dealing with
Yeah.
than for me to, be really vague and high level and not give you anything to work with." And because someone was facing a very difficult situation, I said, "Here's the thing. The good news about all this," because we talked about all of the difficulty and kind of how to navigate it. But I said, "Here's the good news. The good news is that on the grand scheme of your career," and I said, and I say this, standing on this end of 23 years of experience. So I recognize it may be easier for me to say than for it to feel like it's real yet for you. But I said, the good news is that this situation is not actually going to affect your career. It seems like it's really big right now, and it seems like it could have a big impact. But, I said, and then I won't get into the details, but, due to these particular contextual factors, you actually have a lot of support in this situation. And it's how you navigate this and how you decide to move forward that is going to be important. But this is not actually going to affect your career. This is not something that's happening 15 years from now, right, with a different context. And so my approach is, I want to listen because I want to make sure I really understand their situation. I ask questions because I'm trying to figure out the context that they're actually dealing with. And then I'm very honest. But I will also say that I am recognizing also the relative privilege that is involved in their situation at all times. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is that sometimes people come to me very confused because they have received advice from other people who have given very well-meaning advice. But sometimes the advice that people, that other leaders give, comes from a place of unrealized advantage. So, and I know this from my own experience. So let's say, 15 years ago, when I was, I was in the earlier days of my career, I was trying to sort some things out, and I just couldn't understand why the advice that very well-meaning people gave me, why it wasn't working. Like, why is this not working? I'm doing everything they've said. And I would go back and I would ask them, they're like, "Oh, that's really strange. I mean, it worked for me. You know what? Just keep going, keep doing it. You're doing all the right things." And at the end of the day, those were not the things that ended up working for me. I had to find other ways. And it took me a lot of years to figure them out, because I had to figure them out myself, because I didn't have a me
Yes.
to provide that transparency. But sometimes very well-meaning people are giving advice from a place of unacknowledged or unrealized advantage that just won't work for someone who doesn't have those same advantages. And
Mm.
so that is another thing that I bring, is all of my lived experience as someone who is intersectional. And I recognize I also have a lot of advantages, and I recognize those. Um, and also, I'm very tuned in to paying attention to where those to where the my lived experience may be different from others. And so bringing that to these conversations means that people actually have the information that they need, right? I'm not going to sugarcoat things to people and say, "Oh yeah, just work hard, and if you work hard, it's all going to turn out well."